Hey everybody, and welcome to the Confined Kitchen. Ian Tyson here, motivational speaker and avid home cook. We are ready to go tonight. We're gonna, utilize some ingredients that I've got here in the kitchen and make something simple and easy. A little bit of store-bought, a little bit of homemade. Maybe giving you again one of those nice foundational skills that we can use moving forward. Easy way to get things going for you. So, what we're going to make is a homemade marinara with some gnocchi and some spicy Italian sausage. So let's get into it. So what we're going to do today, the main thing we're going to do, the foundational skill that we're going to get into is making a quick homemade marinara. May not be traditional, it's the way I do it. It's quick and easy way so you can make a nice homemade sauce. You don't have as much sugar and preservatives in it as you're going to get with something that you maybe buy in the store. And at the same time, we're going to do some pan-fried gnocchi, store-bought, something that I just have here, which is great. Easy to do. We're going to incorporate some fresh herbs, and we've got the spicy Italian sausage. So let's get going with the marinara. We're going to warm up a pot here to about a medium-high heat, and I've got some Spanish onion that I'm just going to dice. Now we don't have to worry too much about the cuts we're doing here with a lot of this stuff, because in order to make this a good marinara sauce and a quick marinara sauce, instead of letting it, sit for hours and hours and hours and just kind of think about what it's doing and simmer and everything else. We're doing it quickly, so we're just going to cook everything down a little bit, and then we're going to immersion blend the whole thing together. So we've just got some chunks of onion here. I'm going to take some extra virgin olive oil, put it right into the pot, get that nice and warm, and we're going to go onions right in. We had maybe, an eighth, a sixth, an eighth of a big Spanish onion we're putting in there. Spanish onions are my favorite ones to use. They're inexpensive, they're great. We're going to give that a little bit of salt and just let that get warmed up. Next, we have some red pepper. So with the red pepper, we're just, again, pretty cuts don't really make much of a difference here because we're just cooking it down a little bit, and we're going to immersion blend it all together to make a good sauce. A little bit of chunks in there will be fine. We're just doing a nice, easy chop. Red pepper in there. So we'll just get those cooking down and thinking about what they've done. We'll add a little bit of fresh ground black pepper in there. Salt's going to be key throughout with this. So we've used maybe half the pepper, and that's okay. We'll save the rest for later. If we feel like we need it, we'll add. Now, normally with a marinara sauce, I'd love to use a nice Roma tomato. Those are great for sauce, the way they really absorb those flavors. They're fantastic. Today, again, we're all in confinement. We're all in our own confined kitchens of a kind, so we're going to use what we have. I had some grape tomatoes, perfectly fine. We're going to just chop these in half and throw them right in. All right, so we've got most of those in there. They're going to cook down really nicely. And then we're going to add some spices. Just over that medium-high heat, getting those cooking down. Look at those beautiful red lovelies. We're going to give that a good stir. Get everything kind of mixed together. And what I usually like to do in this case is add just a little bit of water to help it cook down quicker. So just a little splash of water, some more salt in there. We're going to get our herbs going. So I've got some dried basil, I've got Italian seasoning, and I've got fresh oregano that I picked up at the store. So we're going to throw a little basil in there right now. A little of the Italian seasoning, which does have basil in it, but it just also has some other good stuff in there, some rosemary and dried oregano, things like that. Now, as I've mentioned before, I always like to keep some roasted garlic around, so we're going to throw a few cloves of that in there. It's going to impart some really lovely garlic flavor. Saves us putting in some dried and processed ingredients. So we'll just take a few of these beauties, throw them right in there. And we're just going to let that cook down for a little while. So while that's cooking down, we're going to make some meatballs out of a spicy Italian sausage. Store-bought, Easy peasy. You can usually get a good pack of them for a few bucks. And so all you're going to do, and this is the sort of unpleasant part, is take this sausage and you're just going to put your fingers inside the casing and make a little meatball like that. And you're just peeling them out. It doesn't feel the greatest, but if you can get past the grossness, quick and easy way to make some nice spicy Italian sausage meatballs. And there you have some nice Italian sausage meatballs, sort of pre-shaped and ready to go. So we've got these meatballs, we've got a small pan here, medium-high heat. When in doubt, medium-high, kind of how I do it. So we're gonna go medium-high heat, let that get warmed up, throw a little bit of oil in there, cook those down, and then just let them simmer while we're waiting for everything else to cook up. And then we've got some store-bought gnocchi, which I had. We're just going to throw that in a pan. This is a skillet style. Normally I would also, cook homemade gnocchi. We'll do that in another episode, I promise. We'll make some simple, rustic homemade gnocchi out of some leftover mashed potatoes that we have another time. Promise, we will do that in the future. But for now, we've got these. It's about 5 to 6 minutes, just making them golden brown right in the pan. So we're going to have that ready to go here. So we want those tomatoes getting nice and soft, and the peppers and the onions, cook them down a little bit. Normally, if you had all day and you're making a nice marinara sauce, you would just let things really incorporate and simmer for a long time. This is quick, this is easy. Love making this. It's a good way to have a nice homemade sauce. So just as that pan's getting hot, we're going to take out some of this nice fresh oregano, peel off some leaves, and give it a nice chop. When you can get the fresh herbs, it's great. If you can grow your own in a little pot, they sell them, $4 or $5 for a basil plant, an oregano plant, a thyme plant. That's something that you can just keep giving back all throughout the season if you can keep this thing going. So for right now, this was 75 cents for some fresh oregano, so we're just going to put that right in there. We'll use some more of it after the fact. So we've got a little oil in that pan. Now we're just going to throw these sausage bits right in there. Let those cook down. Just like that with the sausages. So with these sausages, you just want to get them browned and cooked through. And here's the thing. You want to use whatever protein works for you. You want to have chicken. You want to have tofu. You want to have veggie meatballs, you want to do ground beef, you've got pork chops, whatever you want to do, you spice the thing right, a little garlic, a little oregano, a little basil, whatever you want, then it's going to be fine for doing an Italian dish. So, live your best life in terms of your protein, do whatever it is you want to do, make it happen for you. So this is just what I had on hand, so that's what we're making. Nice little homey feeling Italian dish. It's going to be fantastic. Things are getting broken down nicely in here with the roasted garlic, the onions, the red pepper, and the tomatoes. Just really letting that boil down. Everything's softened up nicely with this sauce, so what we're going to do is turn that down below medium, because otherwise once we immersion blend it and make it a little more saucy, it's going to start spitting like crazy, and nobody wants that. So we're going to let that temperature drop down a little bit, give it the immersion blend, then we add tomato paste. Okay, we are ready to immersion blend the sauce. So I like an immersion blender. I enjoy using these in the kitchen. You could certainly, again, let things reduce down, make more of a chunky sauce. I want to do this quickly. It's a nice, a nice marinara you can do easily. So we've got the tomatoes cooked, the onions cooked, the peppers cooked. We're going to immersion blend it and add some tomato paste. So keeping that heat down below medium, we're going to go straight into the pan. Okay, so we've immersion blended that down to a nice sort of chunky sauce. Now the color's not great, I'm not going to lie to you. It's more of an orangey tone, but we're going to take care of that. So we've got this turned down to a minimum now, minimal temperature. And we've got, this is a small can of just plain tomato paste. Just going to throw that right in. And then once we put that in, we're just going to slowly mix that in and incorporate. It's going to add a little extra pop of nice tomato flavor. And then we add our spices and make sure we're in the range we want to be. Just mix that tomato paste right in there. So these sausages are nicely cooked, so I'm going to take them off, put them onto a paper towel so that they drain off all the extra grease, and then we're going to be ready to go when we plate with these. I'm going to throw the gnocchi on. So we want to go medium-high. Again, I know. And we're going to let that pan heat up, put a little olive oil in there, and then just toss those around until they get golden brown. It's at this point when the sauce is simmering, what we want to do is just give it a little taste. Always taste your food. See if we need a little more salt, a little more pepper, garlic, whatever, and then we're going to add a little special splash of something that I like to put in. So just give this a little taste. Yeah, that's good. We're going to go a little more salt. The herbs are tasting pretty good. We got a nice rich tomato flavor, a little more black pepper. I'm going to give it just a drizzle of my roasted garlic olive oil. And here's a little something I like to do. Balsamic vinegar, just a splash in there. Darkens the sauce up a little bit, adds a little bit of tang. It's really nice. We're going to give it a touch more basil and a little bit of that Italian seasoning. And we'll mix those right in and be good to go. Balsamic is in, herbs are in, salt is in, pepper is in. We are gonna let this simmer now. So now we've got a nice hot pan. We're gonna add some extra virgin olive oil, and we just wanna do an even layer of gnocchi right across there to make sure we're well covered with that olive oil. Store-bought gnocchi, we're just going to cook those down till they're golden brown. By the way, don't think that I didn't notice that you noticed the Death Star. There are also some Imperial walkers down in the bottom here. So yeah, it's a killer apron. The apron game is on point as always. Now let me say this, credit where credit is due in terms of doing the store-bought gnocchi and a really lovely meal. My friend Kyle, at Home Chef Kyle, who was one of my friends who was, became a friend, that was on my episode of Wallace Chefs, posted a really nice recipe he did last night with some homemade gnocchi. Inspired me for tonight's meal, so thank you, Kyle. Now these are getting pretty close, these gnocchi. We're getting some nice goldeny brown. We're just gonna give it another minute and we'll be ready to go. We just wanna make sure we're mixing them up and giving them one of these. Just using a shallow pasta bowl. Again, I love to make homemade gnocchi, and we're going to do that in a future episode, but really the store-bought stuff's great, cooks up really nice, it's very consistent, and it's just excellent. So, we've got the gnocchi on the plate. We're going to throw a few of those sausage meatballs right on there. Put those sausages right underneath where you're going to do the sauce. Now we're going to spoon out the star of the show, this lovely marinara that we've made. We just want coverage on all those little sausage meatballs. Almost there. Now again, in this time, in the interest of using what we have, I didn't go out and buy a bunch of Parmesan just for this. So I had some extra old white cheddar. We're just going to do a nice fine grate on top for that. And to speed up the melting process, and because, well, we can, we're just going to give it a little bit of this. If you need to speed it up, throw it under the broiler. You may not have a chef's torch. Now, again, in the interest of using everything that we've got, for last night's dinner, I made some arugula pesto up, and I've got just the smallest little bit left, not necessarily enough that we're going to use in any other meal. So we're just going to spoon some of that right on top. It's going to add to the beauty and the plating, and also the pepperiness of that arugula is really going to add something to the sauce. So that's ready to go. Now, final touch. Again, fresh oregano we got at the store. We're just gonna sprinkle a little bit of that on top. And there you go. If you want a little bit of extra spice, you could certainly put some chili oil, which I have, on top of there, whatever you like. We've got a quick homemade marinara, gnocchi, sausage meatballs, and a little bit of leftover pesto on top. It's gonna be beautiful. I made this for you. Be sure to check me out at iantyson.ca. Like, subscribe, and share on the YouTube channel or on IGTV. I thank you so much for your time. Take care. We'll see you next time.